Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Imperfect Cheerleader podcast. My name is Jasmine Neely, and this is another special edition of the TopCats Era series celebrating 30 years of TopCats. This episode will focus on two former TopCats who danced in the mid to late 2000s era, Tara Ryan and Kelli Triplett. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thanks for having us.
Hey. Yes,
Yes,
thanks for
thank
having
you.
us.
Thanks for being here. I want to start out by giving you two a chance to give our audience background about who you are for those who may not know you. So you could talk about your Top Cats achievements, which years you danced, and anything else you want to share about.
As far as cheering goes for the Panthers, I started the year after the Panthers went to the first Super Bowl. So I kind of watched that Super Bowl on television with my family, had a glimpse of the Top Cats, and thought, I think maybe I want to do that because I had just very recently graduated from college, had cheered in college, went to the University of North Carolina, like you, Jasmine. Go Heels. Hey.
Hey.
Yeah, so I was a cheerleader in college. I wasn't on the dance team. I did co-ed cheer, and obviously after graduating, it's like, well, what am I going to do with that? So was one of these people, like most of us, who grew up doing all the things, and then you don't have that anymore, and you're kind of like, I'm bored, and I miss being part of a team. I miss having that outlet. So, anyways, watching the Super Bowl and get motivated to audition, and so ended up making it that season, and cheered for 2 years. Had to take a gap year because I was in graduate school for psychology, so I'm a psychologist now, and then came back for 4 more years, and it was when I came back that I had the pleasure of cheering with Tara for that last little bit, and we had a good old time. So I think that's the gist of me. I'm here in Texas now. Sadly, I moved away from North Carolina after I retired from cheering and graduated from grad school and thought I would be right back within a year and then never made it back. The job that I do is pretty specific within psychology. So I'm a health psychologist and I work with children who need organ transplants. And so it's very niche and there's not a lot of opportunity for that. I've been trying to get back to North Carolina forever, but it just hasn't happened. So been here in Texas and just recently had my first baby who just turned 2 months old yesterday, which is wild. And that's me in a nutshell.
Wow. I had no idea you went to Chapel Hill. I love that. Another Tar Heel in the house.
Yeah. Well, I was there many, many, many years before you were. So you probably wouldn't know that.
Once a Tar Heel, always a Tar Heel.
Nah.
Girl. She was a captain and a Pro Bowler. Kelli
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so were you, Tara.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. Wait, you left that part out too, Kelli. What? I think it was
Yeah.
your photo that I saw. I can't remember. It might have been your photo that I saw somewhere when I first was auditioning for Top Cats. Did you have a short haircut? Maybe?
No.
Maybe that wasn't
No.
you.
I
Okay.
wonder who that was. There's no
She was a
telling.
Pro
Yeah, I
Bowler
was.
too.
Oh, that was probably Laura. That was probably
Maybe.
after me.
Okay.
Maybe. Yeah,
Yeah.
Tara and I were
Amazing.
able to be captains together, and she went to the Pro Bowl the year before I did. And yeah, we shared a lot of similar experiences. So it's good that we're here together.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I did not know that. 2 Pro Bowlers on the podcast today. It's amazing.
Hey.
Awesome. Okay. So I'm Tara Ryan. I was Tara Mull for most of the time I cheered. And I got married in my third year. And like Kelli, I was in my last year of college, and I minored in dance and I was already teaching dance. And I was on the dance team at Western Carolina University. And so when I graduated, even though I was teaching, I still felt like I wasn't done performing. And that was such a hard thing to understand about myself because teaching was so um, rewarding, but it didn't scratch that itch for being a part of a team and having the performance aspect. So when I graduated, I came and tried out, and I actually tried to be a commuter, which was 2.5 hours away, where I was teaching dance and had my first full-time job in social work. And that lasted about 3 weeks. And I was like, I can't, I'm a zombie and this isn't going to work.
Mhm.
So I moved to Charlotte and I cheered for 5 years. My teammates quickly became my family in Charlotte. And even though we're not all in the same place now, that really hasn't changed. Those were, I think you're just so vulnerable and everybody in that room is so just their truest version of themselves. So those are still my people. Kelly was my captain my second year. And then we were friends the rest of our time together. And I was a captain my fifth season, and I went to Pro Bowl on my third season. So yeah.
And Tara,
Amazing.
one thing I just thought of, I was a commuter too, my first season. I was commuting 2 hours from Durham, and that also wasn't working. But both of us ended up rooming with some of our teammates. Like our teammates were, I mean, not just our family in the locker room, but like we lived with these people. They were our family outside of the locker room as well. And the stories and the memories that we share. We were been in each other's weddings, been to each other's weddings. It's
Yeah,
these bonds that you develop that are kind of hard to describe because you've had these
it's
lived
true.
experiences that are shared.
Mhm.
It's true. And to start out as a 22-year-old right out of college, I think you're probably about the same age.
Yeah.
By the time that we retired, I remember sitting in the office when we did end of years and telling them that I wasn't coming back. And the only way I could explain it is I felt like I sat in that chair, in that locker room, wherever, in that stadium. And I grew up. I grew up into who I was meant to be. I found who I was meant to be. I had people who supported that. And once I got to the point where I felt like, you know, I was cup was full, I was ready to retire.
Yeah,
I
and
was
a
thinking
lot of
about
people.
that too. Sorry, Jasmine, but yeah,
Go
just
ahead.
to think about how you're a different person when you leave. I mean, especially if you've stayed for many years and
Uh-huh.
especially during your 20s or early 30s where you're still developing as a person too, like you are literally a different person. It really helps to shape you as a human being. It's wild just to reflect on that. Sorry, Jasmine, to cut you off.
No, I was gonna reflect and say the same thing because I feel like I feel like I understood womanhood and kind of what you all are describing.
Yeah.
And just is that transition from college to being a woman and actually like being on your own. And then you have people on the team who may be younger than you, but then you also have people that might be older than you. And you learn so
Hmm.
much from everybody on the team and everybody's different experiences. You all have that shared experience, like you said, Kelly, but like you can still learn from, older women and younger women as well. So it's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
love,
Yeah,
we've
both,
always had such great diversity in terms of
yeah,
backgrounds and career paths and stuff. There's always something to learn.
for sure. And everybody's got their own story and is on their own journey, and it just works together. And I think rubbing off on each other is one of the most gratifying parts of the whole experience because you take a little bit of each person that you encounter, whether it was for one season or whether you're friends for many, like Kelly and I. Like you just
yeah,
keep a piece of each other with you.
yeah. So both of you cheered in kind of a transition era between
Hmm.
the first Super Bowl and the second Super Bowl. So I think it was 2003 up until 2015-ish,
Yeah, we
2015.
missed both Super Bowls, Jasmine. Thanks for pointing
Yes.
that
Hey,
out. Right in the middle.
I know. I mean,
That was us.
I'll join you too whenever we make a Super Bowl again because I was in
Yeah.
kind of transition too. But talk a little bit about what the team dynamic was when you were, the Top Cat team dynamic, what it was like around that time. Tara, you had mentioned that the team evolved each year. Each year, there's a
Mm.
different team, there's a different set of women that join the squad. And how might the team dynamics have evolved from when you were a rookie to, when you became a seasoned vet?
well, I would say one big obvious change that happened during our time there was when I started, there were 35 people on the team. And it was the same, Kelly, I think your first 2 years. And going into my second year, they cut it down to 25 women on the team. And that doesn't sound, it's 10, it doesn't sound like a huge change, but the dynamic in the locker room completely changed at that point. We were so close because, there were five on a line. You really got to intimately know everyone on your line, everyone in the locker room. And so that was a huge change. And then there was also the change of choreographers and coaches that happened. So it's one of those things where it does evolve, and the baseline, the tradition, the sisterhood, all of that stays the same, even though the details and like the picture is different, but it all fits together the same way, if that makes sense. So that the number thing was huge. The coach thing was huge. Getting used to learning from someone new. But I will also say, because we were there during the gap between Super Bowls, we were there through a rebuild. I think that also helped us be really close, because there were some times where the stadium was less than full. I'll say it that way. And the product on the field was hit or miss. And I can remember one day Tina Becker sat us down in the locker room and said, "It's easy to be close when you're cheering for a winning team." And we weren't. And it did make us, I mean, we kind of had to help each other push through sometimes. And so that too made us just closer. It made us appreciate good football. And also it proved that we were diehard Panther fans, because that wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to keep rocking your Panther stuff when we were rebuilding.
Wow.
That's well said, Tara. I mean, I think there's so much time and energy and effort that goes into, being an NFL cheerleader, right? And so if you're in that role, and you're in that role when your team is not doing very well, unless you are a diehard fan or you really love your teammates, you might not come back. So what ended up happening is we just had a really strong core of women who loved each other, loved the team. And I honestly think practiced a lot of mindfulness. Like, even we may not have recognized that we've done it, but just a lot of being grateful for being in the locker room, walking down that tunnel, like taking it in, soaking it in, knowing that it's not guaranteed that you're going to be back next season or you're going to dance another day. Like, anything can happen. So we focused a lot on like being really aware of how special of a position we were in, and enjoying each other. Like, we were I think that my last 4 years was a goofy, fun group. We just were able to just be ourselves in the locker room, and that is some of what made it so fun and made our bond so strong. So like, really just felt comfortable being ourselves. And every team dynamic's a little different, but those years were the years where I felt like, oh, I can just come in and be a big weirdo, and like they accepted me for that, and like it was great. The great times.
That's amazing. Who was your coach during your year?
We had
Was it
Nicole.
So
We had Nicole for, I think, Kelly first two, right? Did we?
I started with Leslie, actually. Leslie was our director. Yep.
Yeah.
Leslie was our director, and Nicole was our choreographer when I started. And then it transitioned to what you just said, Tara.
Yeah. We had like the 3-person staff of Rochelle, who booked like appearances, Nicole, who did choreography, and she was the one who was like with the grit of the work with the team. And then Tina, who was kind of manager, kind of the umbrella over all of it.
Got it.
And then when Nicole went out for maternity leave and took a few years off, we had Rochelle then for our last, 2 or 3. And it was Tina and Rochelle, but it was mostly Rochelle that worked with us.
And I should say, I guess Leslie was our director when I started. Nicole was our coach choreographer who did the bulk of the work with us. Yeah. But so we definitely had some changes throughout those years as well.
Yeah. Awesome. So I want to talk about auditions.
Okay.
What were auditions like? How did you hear about it, first of all? And like, what gave you that push to really say, hey, I'm going to go out for this audition? Kelli, I know you mentioned something and some material that I sent out before this podcast, and you said something very specific stood out to you in your initial audition. So we want to know what that is.
Yeah. So like many things in my life, I don't necessarily prepare well. And I think when you're auditioning for an NFL team, I think at this point in time, you need to be prepared, right? That's what this podcast is all about. That's why we're talking about it. But we got to remember, back in the olden days when I auditioned, there was no social media. I did not know anyone who was on the current team. There was a website, but it was like a very rudimentary Panthers.com website that just had like the date of auditions and basically what to wear. So I just cold showed up, like not knowing at all what was going to happen. So first of all, round one, and I don't know if this was y'all's experience, but back in the day, this is what we did for round one. There were 5 of us. We stood in a line, and we had to do 3 skills: a high kick, a chaîné turn, and then there was a line of tape on the floor. We had to do a leap. You could pick either side, a leap. That was it. Introduce yourself, do those 3 skills, right? Roll into round 2. So I made it through round 1. Now, remember, this was after the Panthers had just gone to the Super Bowl. There were almost 400 women auditioning. Now, I know different NFL teams around the country have different numbers of people, but it was bananas.
Yeah.
And it was a team of 35 women the year before, and like almost all the veterans came back. So I very quickly realized I'm just doing this, like, this is for fun. Like, there's no way I'm going to make this team, right? And you look at the veterans, and they are like model celebrities. Like, I just remember looking up to them thinking like, okay, well, there's no way that I'm going to make this team because I don't look like them. I'm small. I don't know how to flip my hair. I'm coming from, cheering rah-rah at Carolina, and yeah, I can dance, but I'm never going to make it. Anyway, made it to round 2. The rest of it proceeded probably like you all imagine. You learn a small routine, you make it to semifinals, you get information about what the finals trajectory is going to look like. You're going to learn a longer routine. You're going to come in for an interview. But at one point during one of the sort of rehearsals where we're learning the rest of the choreography, after that, they had us do mock, like, auditions, kind of like, this is the finals night. We're going to have you come up 2 by 2 and perform in front of Nicole, Leslie. I think there were some alumni that were there as well, right? So we go up to do this routine. And mind you, like, my muscle memory or ability to like catch on to choreography is not great yet because I grew up dancing, but obviously, like I said, was cheering in college. So my brain wasn't synced up, ready to learn choreography. So I was kind of struggling. I was having to, like, I remember going to our library and renting a camcorder because like our cell phones back then didn't have recorder. Like, and setting it up in my apartment and doing the routine, like, on the tripod. Like, this is how old school, and being like, oh, that looks crazy. I need to fix that. Anyway, so we get up there. I can't even remember who I'm doing this mock audition with. And I'm doing the dance, and I blank out. And I don't know how long it was. It felt like an eternity, but it was maybe 4 counts, right? I don't know. It wasn't that bad. But I was like, I got to turn it back on. So I blanked out, and then I just razzle dazzle. Like, I have no idea what I did, but I was just like, I'm going to perform out of my mind, right? But when I was done, I turned around, and all the rest of the candidates were sitting, watching from behind. And I just made a beeline for the bathroom because I was like, that is it. I'm done. I already knew I wasn't going to make it because, again, the talent in the room's incredible. And I just messed up in front of, like, probably the most important people, the director and the choreographer. So I go into the bathroom, and I'm in the stall, and I'm like, do I just leave? Do I just get my stuff, and do I just leave? Because there's no way I'm making it, right? And then I hear this voice that's like, lime green top, because I was wearing a lime green top. Back then, also, she didn't know, Jasmine, they didn't have really great places where you could buy your audition attire. So we were forced to, like, buy bathing suit tops from Target and just, like, bedazzle them. So we'd, like, glue some little rhinestones on. Anyway, my lime green bikini top that I was wearing. Lime green top. Get out of that stall right now. And it was TopCat Shannon, who I'm not sure if you have the opportunity to interview her yet, or if you will.
McClatty?
McClatty.
Yes. She's coming up.
We didn't know each other. I mean, again, I'm this little nobody, and she's this larger than life veteran to me. And she's like, you get out of this stall right now. You hold your head up. It is not about the mistakes you make. It is about how you recover. I don't even know if she remembers this. She was like, you did beautifully. Like, suck it up. Get back out there. You are not done. Let's go. And I just remember being like, are you sure? And she's like, yes, I would not lie to you. Come on, let's go. Truly, I was about to leave, to gather my stuff and leave because I just thought it was done. But I think that is just a great example of how this system has operated as far as being supportive of one another, at least in my experience. And I essentially made the team because I kept going, because I don't know that I would have without that encouragement from her, but it also taught me to, I think, look out for others who might be struggling and like pay it forward a little bit and offer that help or encourage them, because you just never know. If I have just sat in there by myself and no one came and said, "Hey, you're good. You're
Yeah.
good." I just don't know that I would have kept going. So I just wanted to share that. I don't know if Shannon remembers that, but that meant a lot to me because it taught me lessons and it kept me going, and I ended up making the team somehow. I still don't know how, but
Wow. That's
yeah.
such
Yeah.
an story. Wow. I love
Yeah,
that.
I don't know if I ever told you that, Tara, but that
I have never heard that. No, no, that's really cool. So my senior year of college, when I decided that I did want to keep performing, the Top Cats had actually already had auditions that year. So I went to a different city, still NFL, and did a clinic. So I didn't go in cold turkey, I will say that. But uh, I did a clinic and I was like, one, this is not the place for me. I need to be closer to home. I need to be smaller. Two, it was the experience with and this is why I'm not saying where, the experience with the other teammates, the veterans who were there, wasn't super friendly or positive. So I took what I learned from that, which at least was hair, makeup, and what to wear kind of thing. And I waited. And by the time I had graduated from college, that I graduated in December. And in March, I went to Charlotte to try out for the Top Cat. And I knew I made the right decision as soon as I walked in the door because everyone was greeting. I mean, I can remember being on the team and being like the usher and the elevator person and the welcomer and the door holder. And I always took those jobs very seriously because that made such a huge impact when I was a new person walking in. When you start noticing the vibe already, I already felt like I was part of the team and I was kind of like, I don't want to leave. So this got to work out. So a fun fact about my Top Cat journey though was that and I know Kelly, you know this, may have forgotten, and Jasmine, I'm pretty
mm-mm.
sure you don't know this because no one knows this. But my first year when I went and tried out, I went through prelims, went through second round, made it to finals. And like I told you earlier, I had my first full-time job. I was also teaching dance. So instead of coming down the day before, I tried to make the drive on the day of finals, did not calculate Charlotte traffic. Audition started at like 7 p.m. sharp, and I walked in at like 6:50. And as you guys know, our culture is like if you're on time, you're late.
Mm-hmm.
I was late. Like I was one of the last numbers on the table. I had a pit in my stomach. Knew. I knew. So the next day, I still had a finished finals and did my best. And my name was not on the list the next day. So was just like, I will keep the friendships and the contacts that I made, and I'm going to work my butt off all year, and I will be early next year, and they will not turn me away. I will make sure that I do everything in my power that they just cannot turn me away. And about 3 weeks later, I was at a pool. It was summer, or warm enough. And I was sitting beside a pool and I got a call from Tina Becker. I kind of thought somebody was pranking me, to be honest. But when I realized it really was her, nobody else would know that name. I was like, this is cool. She's calling to give me feedback, like what I did wrong. And she did start that way where she said, you had a good audition. We really liked you. But then you were late. And I was like, thank you. And I'm preparing my thank you for your feedback. It won't happen again next year. And she said, will you be a part of our team for the rest of the season? So this was in
Wow.
May. And at this point, and the season hadn't even started. They hadn't even done their team photo shoot yet. They just said, her words, and I'll never forget them. And this also made me feel like I had this weird bond with Tina Becker because I felt like she was the one who took a chance on me. But she said, everything happens for a reason. And maybe this was for you to learn a lesson or you to learn how much you wanted this. But it didn't work out for someone else who had made the team. And we would like for you to come and join us for the season. I was there. The next day was the photo shoot. I was there. Talk
Wow.
about cold turkey. I was wearing a
Yeah.
uniform and having my picture made, and some of these people didn't even know my name yet. So it was crazy. But
That is
I've
anyways,
always loved
so
that story. Yeah.
yeah, that was the start. And I got a VHS to take home and learn all the routines that they had learned up to that point. And I just knew that I had to prove myself all season to be able to walk into another audition and say, I'm a vet. I'm not, this is not my first time. I really wanted them to see me as earning it all year long. And so, yeah, that's how
wow.
it all started for me. And again, I do think that it made a very deep rooted love for the program because I did have to work really hard to earn it, to catch up, to prove myself. But I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it. And I have never been late for anything Top Cat ever again.
No,
But
and
I
you
will
never took
also
anything for
say,
granted either.
right. I
Mhm.
really, I mean, I think she was spot on. I think everything happens for a reason. And I've used that story so many times, like, my son getting cut from a basketball team and saying, everything does happen for a reason. I don't know what your lesson is supposed to be, but if you want it and you stay positive and you just say, I'm going to work until they can't turn me away, it will, if it's meant for you, it'll come to you. And I mean, it's just, yeah, big, huge life lesson. But I will also say, on a lighter note, that I was just talking to Brandy a few weeks ago, who is the director now of the Top Cat, and told her about how there was a time period when we were on the team that our finals process was 3 weeks long. And not only was it 3 weeks long, like the boot camp, but it was full on in the locker room. Everyone had a locker. So by the time they made final cut,
Yeah.
it felt like
Yeah.
they were cutting teammates. I mean,
Yeah.
to see our locker room and come back the next Wednesday and it be, half of the lockers used and those people gone.
Yeah.
And it was just so bizarre. And honestly, when I
Mhm.
was telling her that story, she was mortified. She was like, I would never, ever do that. One, I wouldn't make someone commit for 3 weeks to a tryout that they may not make.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
two, I don't want anyone in that locker room until they've earned it,
Mm.
which I get.
Mm.
I get. But I think it was just part of our evolution. Like, we were learning as we went. So was management. And we were influenced by the Dallas show and they had a full on boot camp. I mean, I think there was a lot of
Yeah.
factors to trying it, but saying it out loud, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm kind of traumatized.
I think,
Yeah.
and you're right. We only did it that 1 year, and then I think it was quickly realized that this may not be the best way for this organization to approach auditions, and it
Right.
didn't happen again. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. This is why I love like doing this because I get to hear these incredible stories from both of you when Tara, you thought you didn't make the team and you kind of like mentally counted yourself out. Kelly, same thing, kind of mentally counted yourself out. And then somebody saw something in both of you. And Tara, like, it could have been anybody they brought back, but it was you.
Right.
And that shows a lot about how you showed up, and made an impression on them
It's
besides,
crazy.
being late. Because it happens to everyone, and like you said, once you're late that first time, you're never late again. Like, you learn your
Yeah.
lesson, you learn that Top Cat time is real,
Yes.
and yeah, it kind of it goes beyond Top Cats. You can establish it and, put it in any other daily routine, So,
100%.
I love that. Y'all have wow, incredible stories. I never heard anything like that before.
I don't know that I think they may have tried it one other time where they brought somebody on late, but from what I don't know if
Yeah.
it didn't work or I don't know. It's
Hmm.
There's probably more
crazy.
stories like that maybe we'll find out in this
Yeah.
series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just the evolution of how things happen. You just never know how they do one thing one year can be totally different and fluid the next year.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But to Kelly's point too, I think when you walk into an audition and you see these giants, like you see people who are polished and have 5 years under their belt, and it's intimidating what you also need to remember is they may have a story that is totally different than that. I mean, you wouldn't know on my fifth audition when, we're welcoming these new people, they didn't know that Kelly had almost walked out of her first one, or that
Mm-hmm.
I had to check an email list that didn't have my name on it, so I
Yeah.
think that's a huge thing. I wish more people understood that, because the hardest part is truly getting your foot in the door. Not getting your foot in the door of the organization, but like physically getting in the door, getting over the fear. And knowing everybody had a humble start, or most, I think is
Mm-hmm.
important.
Yeah.
I would add to that too that probably people who are new to auditioning, who haven't yet been a part of the team, don't know that for veterans, at least this was my experience, and I think it was yours too, Tara, it actually gets more terrifying each year you audition because you know what you have to lose. Like it's scarier almost the more times you audition because you so badly want to make it back to be part of the organization with your friends doing the thing that you love to do. So it's that threat of losing this thing that is just, has become part of you, that when you're auditioning for the first time, you don't know what you have to lose. It's a different motivation, I think, than when you're auditioning for the sixth time or fifth time or 10th time, whatever, 11th time, I guess, if you're Shannon McClatty. I think she was our one person who cheered for 11 years before they set the
Yeah.
time
Yep.
the time limit, because she would have just kept going. She'd still be on the team right now if they let her. But right, was that y'all's experience too, that it got hard, like, I don't know, just
For
Yeah.
a
sure.
little scarier?
And I
For
think
sure.
I've noticed too, as an alumni, I noticed veterans bringing their A game harder as they go, because they do know that there's more to prove. And it's kind of like reinventing yourself per the new team dynamic
Mm-hmm.
and that pressure. And you can see it. Like, I can remember Jasmine trying out. And I think it was like your second season. I can't remember correctly because it was when it was in that red zone area, and I had hypothermia. It was so cold in there. So I don't remember the exact year, but you were a veteran, and I just remember we were blown away by you. And we had
Oh,
seen you before, but we were like, wow, the
Thank
energy, the
you.
everything, like you brought it on a different level. And I think it was because you were seasoned, but you were
mm-hmm.
also the pressure of like, I'm not spots taken. That was always our line, spots
Yeah.
taken.
Yep.
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. So
Yeah,
sweet of you.
yeah.
I will say, just thinking about that second season and audition for my second year, I do remember the talent that we had coming in that year. A lot of the vets were scared, and I think that kind of just rubbed off on everyone who was on the team the previous year. That year specifically, we had a couple of vets that did get cut because the talent was just so good. So speaking for myself, I knew that I had to bring my A game because
Mm-hmm.
I knew the talent coming in. I knew some of the girls from college. I had seen them dance before. I competed against some of them. So I knew like it was going to be a really good team, and they were going to choose a lot of those incoming rookies. So that year in particular, I do remember just like, okay, they know what I can do, but they also know like my weaknesses per se. So like,
Yeah.
I think I have to bring it even more. But yeah, thank you for saying that.
Yeah, it was impressive.
So Kelly, you took a gap year. You mentioned that earlier for
Mm-hmm.
grad school,
Mm-hmm.
and you came back. I first want to know, why did you come back? And what was kind of going through your head? Did you have doubts about leaving and coming back? Did you think that you wouldn't make it again?
So I was forced to take a gap year because of my graduate program that I was in. I had to complete an internship, and I always knew I wanted to work with kids as a psychologist, and the only internship that was offered where I could work with kids was in the evenings, Monday through Friday. And it was for an entire year. You have to complete an entire year. So I would never be able to make it to a nighttime rehearsal. And I was devastated. I did not want to not come back. And so from the day I handed in my uniform until the auditions came around the next year, I was preparing to come back. I remember going to a game and standing there and sobbing when the TopCats came out because I so badly wanted to be down there on the field. And a friend of mine who was in grad school with me was with me at the game, and she was kind of like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm just so mad and sad and all the things because like I'm supposed to be there, but I have to do this thing for my, my career. And I'm so glad that I did because it set me on the trajectory I needed for my job, which I need that because when you want to be happy in your career as well. But I was just kind of lost that year. And so the crappy thing was it had been a great year of preparation, of thinking real hard about what I was going to wear and making sure that I'm staying physically fit and, taking some dance classes or whatever I did. The 2 days before the auditions came up, I got the flu. And I mean, I got it bad, y'all. It was, I don't know if I've ever been that sick since then. So bad that I almost couldn't go to auditions that day. Like I had a fever, I had shakes, but I pushed through and I went and I made it through, first, second round, whatever. But that I'm like, this is just terrible timing. Maybe a strange answer to your question. I never wanted to leave. I always knew I was going to try to come back. I'm just fortunate that I was able to come back. And so it was so funny cheering with Tara because I missed her entire rookie year. And they did a really strange thing that Tara probably knows what I'm going to say, where when I came back, they asked me to be a captain, which I never thought would have been a thing because I hadn't been there the year before. So it was really weird for a lot of people who were like, we don't even know her. Like, she's kind of like a rookie, but I was a vet, but I was kind of like a rookie. Yeah. And like, why is she a captain? And the whole year I was like, I don't know why I'm a captain either, but we're going to have a good time.
You're
and we had a good time.
Yeah, we did.
I know.
It was
we had
great.
the best.
It was great.
This is why I know why they made me captain of that line, because that was the best line of just the most easy to work with, fun loving, like people who wanted to be there, people who always brought their A game. Like it was, that was a great year. So they were probably like, yeah, Kelli can do it because this line's not going to be a problem for her. And they weren't. It was such a great line.
Yeah. We did. We had a blast. But I do remember being like, okay, so she's an alumni, but she's trying out, and being only my second audition, that was like something that I had not seen before. But I was like, that's brave and I still admire that about anybody who comes back, because I feel like once you have a gap, you being out of it, as that dynamic changes, you're not in it for a minute. And so to try to jump back in and catch up and fit in seamlessly, I think would be really scary. And you did not make it seem scary. And I just remember you being like a firecracker is how we all described you. Like it was like crazy. And then we just had a blast. I mean, it was just awesome.
I thank you, Tara. That's really sweet. I just wanted to be back so badly because I never wanted to be gone. I didn't like leave willingly, basically. And I think when you're trying to figure out when is the right time to retire, when it's your choice is one thing, but I didn't feel like it was my choice. I resented that internship the whole entire year, but it worked out how it was supposed to work out. Like everything happens for a reason, because that set me up to get into a doctoral program, and now I have the job of my dreams, but I was kind of miserable that year not being with my teammates and not being on the field. So I was happy to be back.
Yeah. That was your sign to come back and to make that decision. You're not going to be a top cat forever, right? So you do have to think about your future. So thanks for sharing that. I think that's really admirable of you. And that made me think about when they chose captains. Did the organization or the management and coach choose captains, or did y'all vote for captains?
We voted.
Kind of both. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. They always reserved the right. Like they did not hide the fact that they made the final decision. So it was almost like we got to weigh in, but they decided.
Like surely no one voted for me for captain. And there was this rumor that I voted for myself for captain that I found out about later, and I was mortified about, because I was like, why would I voted for coming back after a gap year? I didn't even think it would be possible that someone who came in like a rookie would be a captain. So I knew that was a decision made by management. Surely people were not voting for me to be a captain because they didn't even know who I was. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, some people did I had cheered with
Yeah.
before, but
Yeah.
a lot of people didn't know who I was. So I think it was majority we voted, and then management had the final
Yeah.
say. What was it like for y'all, Jasmine?
I think it was similar. We voted. We typically wrote down, like, I think it was 5 names and why we thought they would be great
Mm-hmm.
captains.
Yep.
And then we turned that in, and ultimately, I think it was kind of based off votes, but ultimately management made the decision.
Yeah. They were very clear too that they were like the vote that we are hands off and it's 100% the vote is Pro Bowl, but captains like we will
Mm-hmm.
weigh
Yeah.
in, and because they saw things that we may not have seen and they knew people better than, sometimes I think captain is such a good responsibility because it forces people to pull out this leadership thing that management may have seen, but they may not even know within themselves. Okay.
I will say my first year, we did not vote. My rookie season, there were 4 captains, and our coach chose the captains. And actually, one captain it was her second year, and they chose her, Elena Keck.
Hmm.
She was captain
Yeah.
second season coming back. So I remember that specifically because they chose her in particular.
And I remember Kelly's year too, because it was also the year that it went from 35 to 25. That year
Mm.
was crazy because it was, I mean, they only, I think there were 3 rookies. They had to cut, well, some vets retired, but then they had to make a huge cut of vets to be able to get it to 25 plus have a small rookie class. And then that was when
Yeah.
Kelly came back. And luckily that was also when they made her captain. So, I mean, I would not have wanted the job of management piecing all
Yeah.
of that
Mm.
together.
No.
And I want to talk a little bit about your Pro Bowl selections. Tell me about how you found out for Pro Bowl. I believe during your time it was at Disney, I think, or was it
Mm.
Hawaii? I can't remember where it was.
So Tara was Hawaii and I was in Miami, which was so ironic because I ended up going to Miami for my internship. And I looked back at this picture we had taken of all the Pro Bowl cheerleaders. And in the background is the apartment that I ended up living in that I had no idea. So anyway, just
Wow.
random. I'm trying to remember how Tara found out. I can't recall. I found out during our Christmas party. So the thing I liked about the Pro Bowl announcements during my time was they did it differently every year. So you never knew when they were going to announce it. Sometimes it was announced during a game. Sometimes it was announced in the locker room during a practice. Mine was at the Christmas party. It was kind of just like they wanted it to be a surprise. So mine was at our holiday party, and I was shocked, honestly. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's probably most people probably are when they
Yeah.
are recognized with that honor, and especially knowing it comes from your teammates is really
Yeah.
special. Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
remember that moment? Well,
I
of course you
can't
remember it.
remember how you found out.
So,
We were in the locker room, right?
yes. And it was like the Christmas party. And
Okay.
for whatever reason, I don't think anybody expected us to find out that night, but also I wasn't even a captain. It was only my 3rd year. Thought there was that. I mean, that wasn't a thing in my head. So like everything that we opened as a gift, I put on my body. I had
Yeah.
on crazy socks. I think I had on like, an ear warmer thing. I looked crazy, and that we were in the circle, and then I don't even remember how they said it or what came about, but they just announced it. And then Deanna put the lei on my neck. And then I looked even crazier because then I looked like a Hawaiian, like crazy person.
Yep. Yep.
And I can remember this was before everybody had iPhones. There was one person that had a camera phone and she was like taking pictures. And after the fact, like a year later, I was like, do you mind sending those to me? Like, do you still have those pictures? Because I don't have a single picture of finding out. Like, there wasn't the video and the social media person that there is now. And she said, I don't know if you're going to want them because I
Gosh.
did look like I was.
But I did too, Tara, because I I was telling Jasmine, I feel like they announced it differently every year, right? They would mix it
Yeah.
up. So we didn't know when it was coming. So when they announced mine at the Christmas party, I wasn't expecting it either because I thought they're not going to do it that way again. And I had some hideous striped socks on, like all the way up to my
Yeah.
knees. And someone got a hold of those photos and they published them on that like pro cheerleader website. Do you remember that? I don't remember the name of that
Yes,
website
yes,
that
yeah.
everybody used to follow. And it's like all the other Pro Bowl cheerleaders are like, you know, on the field looking gorgeous. And I'm like this little elf looking person, like going to Pro Bowl. It was
Yeah.
unfortunate for both of us that that's what we were wearing when we found out. But
Yeah.
kind of works. It works for our personalities, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know
Wow.
this year, Brandy, she went under the backstory of there was going to be people in the stadium to do a tour. So she was like, you can't look like you just rolled out of bed. It didn't make them come full glam, but they looked practice ready. And like, man, looking at
That's so
Abby's
smart.
videos and all that, I'm like, that would have been really nice to have. And just to
Yes.
have a video or a photo of like hearing it, because, you know, when it happened, it's a total blur. Like, I don't even remember what they said, or I think they read some of the description. I think they
Mhm.
did that for you too, Kelly, when they
Mm-hmm.
read what people
Yes.
had written. And it
Mhm.
was,
Yes.
thinking back then, I was like, I just remember it was really sweet, but I'm like, I'd really love to have that and to hear what my teammates had
Yeah.
written about me. Like that's crazy. They were
Yeah.
crazy. They trusted me with that, you know, but
Yeah.
that was so cool. And then Kelly's year was the first year in Pro Bowl cheerleader history that it wasn't in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
So that was crazy, trying to still continue all the traditions for her in Hawaii.
They started switching it up
Yeah,
that
so
year.
we tried to do all the things, but like make it Miami, and it was different. I think
Yeah,
her
the
experience
whole
was also,
it was
Yeah.
different. Well, and I was telling Jasmine when you dropped off a little bit earlier that I ended up moving to Miami for my internship, my doctoral internship, I should say. I already talked about a different internship. Y'all are probably like, how many internships has this lady had?
yeah,
It was a different internship for grad school. Later, I looked back at some of the Pro Bowl pictures from Miami, and I noticed that the apartment that I was living in was in the pictures, and I was just like, man, this has come full circle. But my very sweet preceding Pro Bowl cheerleaders like Tara got together and bought me one of the rings that they would get in Hawaii. Like it was this tradition. When you're in Hawaii, you get your Pro Bowl ring because we didn't have that in Miami. So they got that for me and I still have it and I love it. It's very dear to my heart.
oh,
Oh, I love that. What an honor.
Yeah.
I always love like the Pro Bowl announcements. It's just so fun and having, watching your teammate represent your team and at Pro Bowl is so fun. So it's so incredible that y'all got to get that experience too.
yeah,
It's so cool. Yeah.
yeah. I do think too. It makes you have this fond connection with that team. Like of all of the 5 years, I'll look at all of the teams and I'm like, I love them all. All of them were different and they all had their special things. But that one, I think the year that says like you represent us, like
Mhm.
that's a whole different. Like I see that one and I'm like,
Yeah.
it still warms my heart.
You feel so loved. Like
Yeah,
you
Yeah.
all loved me that much that you trust me
yeah.
to go represent our organization.
When I didn't
Yeah.
even trust myself. Like yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah. It's like kind of full circle when you started out on the team and both of you had those experiences, and then towards
Oh, yeah.
your veteran seasons, like they still see something in you, and even your teammates see something in you. So it's like that full circle moment.
Absolutely.
We need to talk about Ralph, okay?
Oh,
We
Ralph.
need to talk about Ralph.
Sounds like both of you were instrumental in creating Ralph. So, for those who don't know, at least when I was on the team, Ralph was a rubber rat that we would award to the most energized line at the end of each game. So, Kelly and Tara,
Yes.
tell us about Ralph.
So, as Ralph's mother, I will tell you about how he came to be. So,
Accurate.
this is how I remember it. Whether or not this is reality, Tara will keep me in check here. But I just remember being out at a store after Halloween, and there was this one lone, hideous rubber rat sitting there. And I got the idea. I think we had a game the next day. I was like, I'm going to get this rat and I'm going to put him in the shower and I'm going to scare the heck out of people while they're showering before the game. Okay. Which is mean, but I told a couple of people and I was like, y'all, look at what I have. I'm gonna do this. It was a risky move now that I think about it. It could have honestly backfired, and I could have been like called in by management and been like, that's inappropriate and weird. But again, we had like this understood kind of like goofiness,
Quirky,
joking kind of dynamic. So I put Ralph in the shower. He didn't go by Ralph at that point. He was just a random rat. And people were screaming and it was all good fun, right? So then he was just living in my locker for a little bit. And then he moved to the front of the locker room where we had mirrors back in the day where we would practice. And we were like, well, he can just be our mascot. Like, we're top cats. It makes sense that we'd have like a rat or a mouse kind of as our mascot, right? Tara, he was pretty hideous. So I think Tara was the one who was like, can we like, if he's going to sit here, like bedazzle him or like jazz him up a little bit. And I was like, yes, I'm not creative in that way, Tara, but what are you thinking? And I think she's the one who brought like some nail polish, and she is like cutting off snippets of our palms and gluing them on his little claws. Like, we're doing this before practice, like it's normal behavior. And also Tina and Rochelle were all supportive of it for some reason. Again, they just embraced us. So he would sit there. And then at some point I was like, if he's going to be here and he's like cheering us on as our mascot, he's kind of our little spirit rat. Let's give everyone the opportunity to house him in their locker. Like, how could they earn that? Maybe we award the line, our lines were our group of our teammates who we cheered with during games, who had the most spirit or had the most energy. And for us, I think it was motivating and it was all in good fun. And we were a competitive group, but friendly about it. And you'd kind of get bummed out if you didn't, like, you would work so hard to be the most enthusiastic, spirited line during a game. And you'd be like, man, we got this. And then it would be awarded to another group and you'd be like, what did they do that we didn't do? So then you'd want to find out, like, how do we level up? So we're like leveling up each game. I mean, I think there was one game where my feet left the ground the entire time because it wasn't just about Ralph. I mean, we wanted it. Tara, I don't know if that is accurate in how you remember it. I would love for you to correct me or add in anything I missed, but that's how we left him.
Okay, so yes. And honestly, again, I just want to go back to the fact that we were in a rebuild era of our actual football team. So if there wasn't a lot to cheer for, we still couldn't just stand there. So if we were motivated by a rubber Halloween rat, that so be it. And I think that was part of the reason why the coaches were like, run with it. And we had a team building committee back then too. So I think it was like, we knew it was team building, but it also then would like build it within your line. And it was good fun. And it wasn't to say somebody else wasn't good enough. It was just to say that, like you wanted, I remember that was kind of when the ripple of the first down ripples, which they still do now, started because, then it was like we were jumping the whole time and we still didn't get the rat. So the next game we were like, okay, on first down, we're going to like throw our hair and like pom, whatever.
Like, what can we do differently as a line to stand out? Because that's so true.
And it really just brought so much more fun. And we would, like, I have a picture of my line when we were in the suites one game, and the captain who had won it the game before had Ralph in her locker. So we took pictures stealing Ralph, and we were like, it just made it such this bonding thing. And it was so much fun. And it was, of course, silly, but it was something that it was a legacy. Not that we're so proud of our life, but I was actually just telling Kelli yesterday about kind of the evolution, how it then got put onto like a trophy, and then it became more like field assistant and management decided who earned it. And it got to the point where it started being tiring and not just motivating and fun. And that's when they kind of stopped doing it. And I would love for that to come back because it was never meant to be that way. It was never meant to be something that was held over people's heads. It was always meant to be a motivating tool, fun, team builder. And it makes me sad that they don't do it now. Now, with that said, I know now the field assistants rotate with their line. So
Mm,
they don't see every line now. So they'd have to do it different.
Right.
But maybe that's the evolution of Ralph. Maybe they figure out how to do it different.
yeah. Now that I'm remembering, field assistants did choose kind of who got Ralph. So
Yeah.
that would be interesting. We got to bring Ralph back, at least put him in the locker room. I don't
Yeah.
Yeah.
know what they
For
do
real.
with him now. I don't know
Yeah.
where he is.
Yeah. And where is he? He's. I would like my
Good
child
question.
back. If he's
Right.
not being used in mascot spirit rat capacity, he can come home
Right.
and live with me.
Yeah.
There's no telling where he is. But
He's
yeah,
out here in the
I always think that's
wilderness.
just a funny journey that this random Halloween rat took to being like, Jasmine, the fact that you know who Ralph is makes me so proud.
Yeah.
Right.
Shonda brought it
I feel
back
like we
for us.
left it. Yeah. We really, like, of
So
all the
funny.
things that we left behind, that is not the one I would have guessed would
No.
make it
So
into
true.
the new era. But you got to be proud of what you got, I guess.
Tara, speaking of field assistants, what are you seeing the differences? I know you were a field assistant this past year, right?
Mhm.
And I think you've been one in the past too. How have you seen the changes from the current team from when you were on the team?
Actually, surprisingly enough, even though there's been a big evolution and a lot of time gone by since I retired, this year's team reminds me so much of our time. I mean, it's there. I mean, you've got the obvious reasons. It's 25 beautiful women, all successful, all career driven. Like it, there's so many things about them personally and their relationships with each other, and it being a sisterhood in the locker room that makes it nostalgic almost. I mean, they are back in
Hmm.
the locker room with no pods. It's old school in my, from what I see, it's old school. And that's awesome. But the journey getting here, I think is the part that, you notice the most difference. I mean, we had our years of the COVID, the masked years. That was rough. And then we had our years where the years that we had men on the team were, I think, a huge growth year because our fans had to get used to that, but they were phenomenal. So it was also like I think if it didn't appeal to everyone, those people probably weren't from a dance cheer background. Because if you were from a dance cheer
Hmm.
background, you have danced with men. You have, so that to me
Yeah.
wasn't alarming. It was actually, but they were also incredible. Like I can remember them walking in and trying out and being like, this is the year it's going to happen. Like it can't not.
Yeah.
But seeing all of that and how it evolved into this team that is very accepting of change, jumped on board this year with the changes of management, team changes, like a lot of things happened right as tryouts were beginning. And I think it made them bond more. And I think it made them find their why. Like, well, why am I here then? And is this the organization I want it to be? And how can we shape it differently? I think the veterans had to step up and really say, this is what we had and this is what we came from. And here's the trajectory we want for the future. I'm so proud. It's silly how not only because it's nostalgic, but just they are where it has gotten to and bringing all of these pieces together it makes me so proud to be an alumni and to watch them. And I don't think I can make the team now. Like that's how I
I think
feel every
the same
time
thing.
I watch them. Like they're so
Yeah.
good and they look so good and it makes me kind of starstruck. Like I did that, but then I'm like, and yeah,
Not like that. Brandy's done an incredible job this year, so hats off to her. And I mean, even, the women that go out there and do the dancing, they look great. And you've done great as a field assistant too, because you have to tell them what to do. So it's all like
yeah,
it's all a team, and I think it's come together beautifully amidst all the change that has happened. So
yeah. I will say too, they visibility this year has been way up. Like,
good.
I
Yeah.
think once COVID happened and they kind of were behind the scenes and then it never really was in your face as much again. I
Mhm.
think this year doing suites again and doing all of these performances, like they're in your face and it's fabulous. And I think the fans love it and want more of it.
Mm.
But also to your point as being a field assistant, I think I cannot stress enough, and Kelly will back me on this. I hope that every person trying out and every person who is on the team knows that alumni, whether they're field assistants or not, love them. we are proud of them. We are cheering for them. We are not like, it's not something where you have to be a different person for alumni. We've been there.
Yeah.
So we're here for it. We're here for them. And we're so like supportive. It's support, and it's honestly, we're not ever there to judge,
We're your biggest cheerleaders, truly.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. I'm sure that's going to help a lot of people come audition time. So, yes. Can you talk a little bit, both of you, about life after Top Cats? How was it transitioning from going to games all the time, going to practice, to now continuing on with your life and not having that every year? How was that?
Hard.
Ooh. I think so again, I had a little bit like of a tease of what it was going to be like when I had that gap year. So I knew kind of what was coming, but I think if you end up making a professional cheerleading team, like you're probably a high achieving person who's a person who has dabbled in many different things throughout your life and has been a busy person and is able to balance well, or you probably wouldn't make the team or be successful, right? So it's then about figuring out at what the phase you're in your life, what can you do to bring you joy? And it's not going to be in the exact same way that the special team that you were a part of is going to fill your cup, but what can you do to have an outlet, to engage in self-care? Dance is therapeutic for a lot of us. So is it that you're going to use your time taking some dance classes, or are you going to get into fitness, or I'm have reverted back to playing soccer, which is so strange because I didn't play for about 20 years and now I'm on 3 soccer teams and I play kickball. Like I get my fill of being part of a team, being able to compete and being able to exercise in a way that I'm not noticing I'm exercising because I hate exercise. So that for me has been super helpful. And then again, like finding a career path that I just truly love and enjoy. And you have more time to enjoy your weekends because when you're cheering, like really your weekends are taken up. So that's definitely having that spare time. But it's hard at first, like Tara said. I mean, there's definitely a period of adjustment where you're kind of like, what is this? What is this life? Because your identity was so much like, I'm a top cat. I'm a top cat. That's what I am. And then that's you're an alumni, which is a very special thing in its own right, but it's different.
Yeah. I can tell you too, there were, being asked after retiring, when people would say, what do you miss most about being on the team? And every time my answer, and I stand by to this day, I miss knowing I am going to see my closest friends at least once a week. Like, that time you take it for granted and know, like, I'm going to see them Wednesday. I'll see them Saturday. And sometimes you're sick of each other, but knowing that, and then, and not having to be in the group chat to try and get together I miss that. But like Kelly said, you kind of learn, you retire and you think, I've got all this free time, and you have to learn to fill it with hobbies or this or that. With me, I was pregnant with my first child right after I retired. I think it was maybe a few months later. And so that took over.
You hit the ground running.
Yes. And I have 3 boys now. And my husband and I are constantly busy with divide and conquer. So I don't feel like I really got any of that time back. It just went to different sports. But it made me have an appreciation of everyone that we cheered with that had kids. So I don't know how they did it. I truly don't. It's like, I thought, I'm going to have all this free time after I retire, but then I had kids, and now I'm like, I would have free time if I cheered compared to what it's like with momming. I mean, obviously I wouldn't trade it, and that's part of my own evolution story. And also because it's 3 boys, there are times where I just truly miss like the dance world and still miss performing, but I do get to cheer very loud. I'll tell you that, for all their sport. And so what I miss the most is my friends, my teammates, my family.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Agreed.
And you know how to cheer. So, you're the biggest cheerleader, and you know when to cheer when they're up and when they're down.
Yeah.
So I love that. And speaking of children, Kelly, I know you recently had your first child, so congratulations.
Thank you.
First off, how is mom life?
It's wild. To Tara's point, I do not know how people cheer professionally and have children. I've only had 2 months of this, and I've never been more tired in my life. I thought I was tired when we'd have those long practices, those late practices till 10, and then you have to go to work the next day. No, y'all, and I'm getting the sense that I'm never going to sleep as much again ever. Like that ship has sailed. It is life altering. It's beautiful. It's incredible. It still doesn't feel real. Like when I look at her, I'm like, oh my gosh, you are mine. I have a child now. So I'm entering a whole different phase of my life, and very, very late in life too. So that's been like, I wonder, would I feel differently about this if I was in my 20s versus in my 40s? Is it so hard because I'm old? Probably not. It'd still be just as hard
Yeah.
as a young mom. But it's like, wow, I'm in a much better place now to be a mom than I would have been 20 years ago, for sure.
Yeah. And for those that are thinking about delaying having children until later in life due to career, what have you, what would you say to them about that experience?
It is okay. I mean, I think I saw some data recently that women are giving birth much later than they used to, right? Like that people are recognizing there is importance in being financially stable. Like, this is probably, having a child is the most expensive thing that I've encountered in my life as well. And again, I'm saying this is only 2 months of this. Wouldn't trade it for the world. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it would be a struggle if we were not in a financially stable place. Now, my mom always said, you're never going to be fully ready for a child. You're not, if you wait until you're financially stable, if you wait until the timing is perfect, then you're never going to be ready, because there's always going to be stressors and challenges, and I could lose my job tomorrow and then
Yeah.
I'm not financially stable. But I think just giving yourself grace that it is okay to put career first, to put cheering first, if that is what you want. Look, we only have one life to live, so
Right.
you got to figure out what brings you joy. Yes, having a child now is bringing me joy, but it's in a different phase of my life, and I needed to get through graduate school and to have my time to be the best mom that I can be. Tara was like born to be a mom. Tara's very, very much more maternal
Someday.
than me, I think, by nature. I'm sure 3 boys may change that for you.
I do agree. I feel like everybody's kind of on their own time. Like, it's not something you can compare. You got to do it when you feel right, and whether it is for cheer or career or whatever. And it doesn't make you a bad mom to choose motherhood later. I mean, I'm a different mom to my second 2 kids than I was to my first, because I, had grown as a person more by then, and I was more mature. And I think I was actually way more maternal with my younger 2, because they were my babies, than my first, who was like, I call him my science experiment, because I was like, I don't know what,
Yeah.
but it was, I think, because everybody's kind of on their own time and their own, story and path, you just can't compare. And I think that's like a resounding issue with mothers everywhere, is you will only fail if you compare your experience with someone else's, because you can't. It's you, it's your body, it's your life, it's your kids. Everybody's different.
Yeah. And as you're saying that, I'm thinking too, it can be done to be a professional cheerleader and be a mom. Well, we're saying how we don't think we could have done that. I don't think I could have, but
Right.
it would be interesting to hear that perspective, because it totally can be. And I'd be so curious to hear, how did they do it? Because that has got to be so hard. But we definitely had teammates who had children,
Yeah.
and those children are like young adults now. It's wild to see how much they've grown, but clearly their mommies did a good job.
Yeah.
Just you wait. I'm gonna have some people on that have had children, and I'm gonna
Well,
ask that
Awesome.
question.
so
Yeah, I'd
Jill
love to hear that.
Matthews, yeah, Jill Matthews was one
Yeah.
that we cheered with. That when I came back, Jasmine, during your time, I was like helping and volunteering. Her daughter was on the Black and Blue crew. So it was funny, when
Wow.
she cheered with us, she was a little girl. She was a junior top cat. Then I went on and, started my own family. And when I came back into the organization, she was on the Black and Blue crew. And actually, for one of the games this season, they were both attending together, and I saw them both, and I was like, this is so cool. And it is so cool to me to think I shared the field with both of them. Her daughter was this
Yeah.
little girl when we cheered with her. She was
Yeah.
juggling childcare and practice, and to have also shared the field with her daughter years later, it was so full circle awesome to me.
Yeah. It's
Sorry,
so
that's
crazy
just a
that the
side
generation.
That's
story.
awesome.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love it. Well, we're going to get into some rapid fire questions to end. These are just quick, whatever comes to your mind, you blurt it out. There's no wrong answers. All right. So the first one, your favorite dance as a top cat.
Firewoman. It was choreographed by Nicole, and it was so hard.
We had one called Freakazoid. Tara, do you remember that one?
Yeah.
That sounds-
Freakazoid was awesome. So, okay, I'm sorry, this is not rapid fire. I'm going off script here. But it was
Okay.
like this robotic thing, and we were split into two
Uh-huh.
groups, and it was like this battle, this like robot battle. It was wild. I think that was Rochelle's choreography, but that one was so fun.
Did y'all
Freakazoid.
wear a top cat uniform for that, or was it like a specific
Yeah.
costume?
We just wore our regular uniform. I don't know what we were doing out there on the field, like Freakazoid robots. It was just
Yeah.
silly and fun. It was.
I love that. What's a core memory that you can't get out of your head when it comes to top cats?
Oh, there's so many.
Kelly. Oh, I know. We went to Mexico my second to last year, or maybe my last year. No, it was second to last. And there were two groups. There was a 7 group and a 5 group. 7 went to Mexico City and the other one went to Monterrey. And we went to promote the Super Bowl. So we were on like Telemundo and had security guys with us. And we had like a whole week there. And it was such a cool experience. Just seeing how they reacted to us and football, American football, and
Yeah.
all of it. That's such a, and to be there with our teammates too, like rooming together, having to wake up and try and describe to room service what we wanted for breakfast. And I mean, it was just, it was a really cool memory.
It's awesome.
I have this random memory of falling on the field. I was, I guess, spiriting too hard and like slipped into a split. And there were fans in front of me who I knew. Actually, one of them was the husband of someone on our team, Christy Farrell's husband, Sean. And he died laughing, and the fans around him were laughing. And we just made it into good fun. But that's another one of those examples of like, that could have gone terribly wrong, and we just left it off and kept going. But yeah, falling on the field, can never forget that. It was
And that's why they
embarrassing.
say be the show, not watch
The show must go, and the show must go on.
And there you go.
Yeah.
And we just went on.
Yep. Okay. Favorite uniform.
White.
I like the Panther blue.
Guess. Any pregame rituals that you did for yourself or with the team?
We used to always, we showered and like full on started over after, because we practiced, we had a full practice when we got there on the practice field. So we would come in, blast music, and start completely over, shower, everything. Like the fact that no one does the whole like get ready with me in there is crazy to me, because we all basically started completely over and got ready all together, which is like
Everyone?
yeah.
I didn't realize that's not done anymore. No?
I mean, yeah, that's crazy.
It was
Yeah.
We didn't have
it was
time.
wild times.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a time
Wow.
crunch. I mean, get to the locker room, get showered, get your hair, you know,
Yeah.
like it was boom, boom, boom. We were running around. I was
Did
going
y'all
to say
not practice in hair and makeup? Because I feel like they do. Or at
We
least I
did, but not
Kind of
like
like-
the full, like no lashes and all that. I mean, it was just like
Yeah.
to and from hair and makeup, right? Wasn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, because
That
we
sounds
were
about right.
worn out at the end of those rehearsals before games. We needed to shower, honestly, because
Mhm.
Yeah.
we had done so
Mhm.
much hard work. I
Mhm.
really liked sitting down in the makeup chair and having gotten my makeup done by, it was Cindy or Denise I would always go to do my makeup. And that was just, again, because you're scrambling to get ready. So that was like a time to relax. And they always just did my makeup so much better than I could do it. So that was my pregame ritual. We also had to run to sign up. Do you remember those days, Tara? Like there'd be a sign up
Yes.
sheet.
First
You have
come,
to
first
run to get your
serve.
name on the list
Yes.
so that you can make sure you get in the chair of the person you want to get in. Oh, man.
And Jasmine, in
Those are
case
the
you
days.
didn't know those two names that she just said, our makeup people were alumni. Like, yeah. So yeah, it was really cool. Like they knew what we needed to look like. They knew how to do it. They had just, recently cheered and retired. So yeah, they were two alumni, and it was, I think all of them at that time were alumni, but maybe our
Yeah.
last year they started bringing in other salons, but Yeah.
Yep.
Home
Mhm.
cooking.
Awesome.
Yep.
What would you say is the hardest thing about being a TC, and what's the easiest thing?
I think the hardest thing
Mhm.
is finding your why for days that are not a winning game, for days that it feels like the soles of your feet are melting off, for days that it's cold and raining and your lashes are washing away and you are not glam and wondering why you're doing this. Like finding that inside yourself and knowing what you bring to the table for yourself and your teammates, that's probably the hardest. But once you find that, I think you're set. But I think the easiest is bonding with your team and bonding with your Panther pride. And I mean, that's for any team, not just Panthers. But once you feel like you represent the entire organization as a collective group, that it is easy to find it. And it is, I mean, rewarding the rest of your career.
I think, my hope is that all Top Cats are Panthers fans because it makes it much more enjoyable if you're actually, a fan of the team you're cheering for. And I think hopefully they fall into that if they don't come in already a fan. But the easiest thing for me always was coming out of that tunnel at the beginning of a game. I mean, most fulfilling, rewarding probably is like the music is blasting, the smoke's going, you're like, it's the beginning of a game. The culmination of like all the practices and everything is come to a head, and it's like it's showtime. Like that's the easiest thing. The hardest thing for me, honestly, we've already kind of talked about it, was probably walking out of that locker room the last time and just knowing this is it, or probably that last game of like never gonna get to do this again, and just recognizing what a privilege it was. Yeah.
And second
Yeah.
guessing too. Like I remember second guessing retirement. I mean, I still to this day I'm like, could I have done a
Yeah.
6 year? I think that does make
Yeah.
it excruciating.
Right. I think we all go through that. Name a
Yeah.
top cat that has been instrumental in your time as a top cat.
So many. There's so
I know
many.
it's hard to name just
Tara,
one.
I'm gonna let Tara go first
Okay.
because I want to see who she names. I want to see who she names.
So of my time, I will say I mean, all my teammates were instrumental, but especially the people who stand out in my memory the most were the captains throughout because I can remember having some of the best veterans I looked up to them as veterans, as captains. I now look up to them as alumni. But I mean, there were people like Kelly Randazzo and Deanna and Shannon that were just game changers. But if I have to pick one, I have to be selfish and pick one who helped start my journey, which was Amy Woodard. And she was like the first veteran and captain that I met when I walked in the door. She's from the same hometown as me. And I walked up to her and said, I'm Tara and I'm from Waynesville. And I was like, she thinks I'm crazy. She was so nice. And from then on out, we had this like big sister mentor thing going on. We worked together too outside of the locker room. And so she kept me, and she was such a diehard Top Cat fan and such a diehard Panther fan, and she was one of those women who empowers other women. I mean, I'm pretty sure she does that for a living now, like a
Mm-hmm.
life coach or something, that she really had a big impact on the top cat I would be in person. But, you know,
Yeah, I agree with all those names you just dropped. There's so many. This is so hard. I already mentioned one, so I'm gonna pick a different one. I think I'm gonna go with Deanna. I don't know if you know Deanna Platt, Jasmine, but she was
Mhm.
also one of our captains for a while. Deanna
mhm.
is one of the most infectious, like, people to be around as far as like spreading just joy and happiness. Like, she has this laugh that just would fill the locker room, and she tolerated my silliness and just 100% always was a support, just someone you could go to, if you just needed to talk through something, if you were second guessing yourself or doubting something, and just incredible human inside and out, but epitome of a top cat, I think.
Yeah. And you always felt like she would go to bat for you. She was on the path to going for her full 10 years. She didn't end up going that long, but every person who encountered her, whether they were just trying out, whether they were on the team, you never forgot her. They appreciated her. She stood out to everyone because she had your back. She was going to cheer you on, and she would use her last breath to cheer you on and push you if she had to. She was just that
Yeah.
person. She was the backbone of the team.
And she was a
Wow.
commuter. She busted her butt to drive, an hour and a half each way to practice for years and years and years.
Wow. I hope she
Yeah.
hears this because that's
Yeah.
incredible. And
We love
hopefully I'll
you.
meet both of them one day, Amy and Deanna.
Yes,
I'm
you
always
should.
wanting to meet as many top cats as possible because we're all incredible. And lastly, I will ask if you could speak to somebody that is a hopeful and wants to be a top cat, what is one thing that you would say to them to keep in mind during auditions?
I'm going to say do a self-assessment, do a good self-assessment before you come in, which is something that I didn't do. This at the end of the day, yes, it's an audition, but it's also a job interview. So think about what the position entails, right? There's a lot of things that it encompasses. Fitness, dance technique, performance quality, all the things. Where your weaknesses, work on those. You're going to do that. But don't forget about your strengths and figure out how you can boost those because you want to stand out. That is the thing that I would say. Auditions is not a time to blend. There's going to be times when you're on the field that maybe your choreographer wants you to look cohesive as a unit and doesn't want anybody to stand out. That is not auditions. Auditions, you need to figure out what's going to set you apart from other people. So whether it's your performance, everything has to be, the dial's got to be turned up as high as it can go because you want them to know your name at the end of the night. That would be leave it all out there. Leave every ounce of
Yeah.
energy you have to perform in front of those judges. And that's gonna take you far, I think.
Yeah. I would say aside from don't give up and walk out and don't be late, because those are two very, very important ones we've
Thank you.
established. I would say that you need to also think about the different facets of a top cat. Like, what is it that stands out to you about a top cat? It's not just their performance, it's not just their appearance, it's the total package. And that's what you're going for. Like, you're not trying out to just be the best dancer. You have to be the best teammate. You have to have personality. You have to have heart.
Yeah.
You have to care about the community. And remember that when you're trying to bring the whole package because you want to embody all of that and not just hyper focus on your fitness or your dance. If you don't fit into the jigsaw puzzle of a team, it could be because of one of those different pieces. So think of all of it and don't give up. One time, listen, you don't make it the first time, you tell yourself, I'm going to work so they can't turn me away twice or they can't turn me away 3 times. You don't give up because you never know when you're going to get a phone call. Anything could happen.
That's true. That's awesome.
Well said, Tara.
Yes. Thank you so much to both of you for this incredible episode. I am blown away by both of your stories, and it's very inspiring, I should say. So thank you so much for being part of the series and coming on the podcast today.
So
Thanks for
thank you
having
so
us.
much for having us. This is such a cool part of alumni
Yes.
stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank
Seriously,
you.
I'm honored. Honored.
Yes.
I'm honored too to be able to do this series. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate y'all participating.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Imperfect Cheerleader podcast. Taking the time to listen while you're busy with all of life's responsibilities means the world to me. If you enjoyed this episode, here are a few ways you can support ICP. Number 1, hit the subscribe button so you always get newly released episodes and never miss them. Number 2, take a screenshot of the episode you listened to and tag @theprofessionalcheerleader on Instagram. I love to repost your tags and shout you out on stories. And number 3, write a review on Apple Podcasts. This is the best way to show your support for the podcast and helps bring us even more guests, interviews, and topics. I hope you have a wonderful day and continue to work towards your goals of becoming a professional cheerleader, dancer, or someone who just loves to move, honey. I'll see you next time on another episode of the Imperfect Cheerleader podcast. Bye for now.